Hello students, welcome to YouTube channel of Sangli Shikshan Sanstha. Students, from newborn baby to the oldest, all such type of human being like to listen a story. In classroom, students also want to listen a story. If there is a noise in our class, then there will be pin drop silence when the teacher says, I will tell a story. That is the magic of the story. Students, there are various type of stories like historical story, humorous story, geographical story, Isap Niti, science story, folk story, jungle stories, Akbar Birbal stories, Tenali Raman stories, like these various types of stories. And students, everyone likes to listen humorous story. And I do know you also like humorous story. So today we are going to learn Akbar Birbal story from standard 6, subject English, unit 1.2, who is the greatest? Who is the greatest? Emperor Akbar or Akbar the Great is known as the great ruler in the world. Not just because he had a vast empire, a very strong army, untold wealth, but because he has a good human being. He cared for his subject. He had great respect for scholars, writers, poets and artists belonging to different religions. He was a patron of arts and cultures. The 9 Jains or Navaratna in his court were famous. Many people believe that of these 9 Jains, Birbal was the closest to the emperor's heart. Akbar loved to pose interesting questions or problems in his court. And Birbal never failed to come up with an equally interesting answer. We don't know whether all the Akbar and Birbal stories that we hear today have any basis in history. They have been handed down over generations, mainly by words of mouth. Here, the Emperor Akbar or the Akbar the Great is known as one of the greatest ruler in the world. Why he called the greatest? Because not only he had vast empire, a very strong army and untold wealth, but because he had a great respect for scholars, writers, poets and artists, belonging to different religions. And one more thing, that he cared his subject. He was patron. Patron means like. And not only like, but support, encourage. That is a patron. He was the patron of art and culture. 9 courtiers. 9 courtiers. Courtiers means who works with the Emperor Akbar in the court. That is courtiers. 9 courtiers in his court were very famous. And we call them 9 Jains. One of them, Birbal. And people believe that Birbal is the closest to Akbar's heart. We know the Akbar posed to interesting questions. Pose means ask interesting questions or problems in his court, and Birbal never failed to come up. Come up means give quickly answer with an equally interesting answer. Students, these stories, any basis there? We don't know. But these stories handed down over generation mainly by words of mouth. By words of mouth. And here is the one story. One day the Akbar entered the court with very serious expression on his face. As soon as he seated, he said, "I have a question for all of you. What should be the punishment for someone who pulls my moustache? Moustache? Air of lips. That is moustache. This is the moustache." He asked, "I have a question for all of you. What should be the punishment for someone who pulls my moustache?" The court was stunned. Pull the emperor's moustache? It was unheard. Students, one day, the emperor entered the court with very serious expression on his face. He asked, "I have one question to all of you. What should be the punishment for someone who pulled my moustache?" All courtiers stunned there, didn't know what to do and what to say because he had unheard before. "Flog him, give him 50 slashes of whip," exclaimed one nobleman. "That's not enough. Put him in a jail without food and water," said another. "Whip him, beat him, hang him, cut off his offending hands." The agitated courtiers began to cry out. But only Birbal was silent there. He smiling a little bit on his face. Student, when the Akbar posed that question, some courtiers gave the suggestion. What they told? Flog him. Give him 50 slashes of whip. Put him in a jail without food and water. Whip him, beat him, hang him, cut off his offending hands. All courtiers told like this, but only Birbal is there. He kept silent and even smiling a little on his face. What do you say, Birbal? What is your opinion? In my opinion, O giver of peace to the world, the offender should be given his favorite sweetmeats. What? Favorite sweetmeats? All courtiers exclaimed there. Akbar asked, "What do you say? What is your opinion?" He asked to the Birbal. And the Birbal said, "The offender should be given favorite sweetmeats." Favorite sweetmeats, here, see. All the courtiers began to say, "Are you mine? Are you often out of mind? Raja Birbal, you are out of mind? Give sweetmeats for such a grave offense?" The courtiers began to say. Birbal smiled and offered an explanation. "Yes, who would be so bold as to pull the emperor's moustache? Only his grandson. When Akbar heard this, he burst out laughing because that is exactly what happened in the morning. See students, when the Birbal told that the offended wants to give sweetmeats, all the courtiers should be said like this, are you out of mind? What are you going to say? Then Birbal smiled and explained that. He said, who would be so bold or so dare to do that one? And only Akbar's own grandson. And when Akbar heard that, he laughed loudly because exactly what happened in that morning. Got it, students? Okay. Now, next story. One another occasion, Akbar was relaxing with some courtiers. A few of them thought this was a good opportunity to show a praise and get some favors from him. They began to compete with each other in praising Akbar. You are the greatest of the kings. You are the greatest of the kings or emperor that ever lived on the earth. You are the all of the people in heaven or earth than the greatest. You are as great as God Almighty. You are greater than God Almighty. Here students see that the second story, that the people, the courtiers sitting with Akbar's, and Akbar's going to listening whatever is going on. The courtiers thought this is the occasion that they can get some favors from the Akbars. They can get some favors for the Akbars. So they are praising to the Akbars. Students, in another story, Akbar was relaxing with some courtiers. Some courtiers thought this is the golden chance, this is the golden opportunity to take some favors from the kings. And so they started to praising him. They began to compete with each other. What they said there, you are the greatest of the king. You are the greatest ever lived on the earth. You are the greatest of all the people in heaven or earth. Listen students, what they are going to praise. And last one, what they said, you are as great as God Almighty. See student, what they said, you are the great as God Almighty as you. Now Akbar was no foolish. He did not care for false praise. He stopped the courtiers and asked, did you all believe so? Yes, the answer in one voice. All right, then prove it to me. Tell me at least one thing that I can do, but God Almighty will not be able to do. Otherwise, you will all incur our royal displeasure. Royal displeasure, that means make me unhappy. Make me unhappy, that is a royal displeasure. You have till tomorrow morning to prove it. Akbar then left the place without another look at the courtiers. They were in proper fix. Proper fix? Stunned, confused, don't know what to do. That is proper fix. They thought and thought, but couldn't think of any such thing. In the end, they went to Birbal. When Birbal heard their story, he told not to worry. Students, when they were praising like this, the Akbar listening, but he was no fool. He did not care what they said. He stopped them and said, "Do you believe so?" All courtiers said yes. Then Akbar asked them, Tell me one thing that God Almighty can't do, but I can. Otherwise, they all get punishment. Then he left without looking towards the courtiers. All courtiers thought and thought and thought, but couldn't get any such thing that what? God Almighty can't, but Emperor can do. What's that thing? In the end, they went towards the Birbal and told what happened in the court. Birbal listened calmly and told to don't worry. Next morning, the court was full. Everyone was curious to see what would happen next. Well, said the emperor, have you found a good answer to my question? Or are you ready to leave the court forever? Just then Birbal stepped forward and bowed low. Please, don't be angry with those who think you are the greatest. There's certainly at least one thing that you can do, but the God Almighty cannot. Akbar looked at Birbal thoughtfully. And what is that thing? When you want to punish someone, you can banish that person. You can throw out him from your kingdom. But God's kingdom extended everywhere. The Almighty cannot banish someone from His kingdom. Akbar's face was lit up with a smile. That was very clever, Akbar. While showing how I have an advantage, you have also shown that God is greater. I believe you. Akbar was so pleased with that answer that he forgave the courtiers for his stupidity. Students see that Akbar told to the courtiers. He asked, one thing tell me that I can do, but God Almighty not. The next day, all the courtiers gathered and curious about. The court was full. Everyone was curious about what will happen next. Akbar asked about answer. That what he asked yesterday. Birbal came forward and he bowed to the king. And he said, don't be angry with those people who told you are the greatest. Here that Akbar stepped out. He bowed. See student, what is his expression? How he is going to tell that thing. He stepped out and go to the king and told, don't be angry with that people who told you are the greatest. He told that there is a one thing that you can do, but God Almighty unable to do. Birbal looked at Akbar thoughtfully. And what is that thing? He asked. And then Birbal explained. When you want to punish someone, you can. But God Almighty can't. Students, see here, Akbar can banish someone, Akbar can throw out from his kingdom some person if he want to punish him, but God Almighty can't. Why? God's kingdom extended everywhere. God's kingdom expanded everywhere. So how can he throw out someone? And this is the thing Akbar can do, but God Almighty can't. Akbar's face full of smile, and he pleased with the answer of Birbal, and he admired to the Birbal how Birbal showed that God is the greatest. So students, I know you have enjoyed these stories. Well, subscribe our channel and press bell icon for the further videos. Thank you.